Hi guys, are we live? I think we're live. Welcome to day one of the Love What You See in the Mirror free challenge. I am just going to give it a few minutes. I always hate watching the replay when the person's like, I'm going to wait for people to get on. And you're like, great, now I can sit here and wait too. But just a couple minutes and hopefully we'll get some of you live. And of course, if you're watching the replay, hello to you as well. I'm going to pull up the journal so I can have it in front of me. Now remember, if you want to get this journal and actually to officially register for the challenge, you've got to be signed up for the emails. So I am going to, I don't think I can comment on this video right now while I'm live, but right after this, I'm going to put the email sign up link in the comments. And basically what it is, it's 5 days of emails. So today, the first one is going to be going out tonight. Looks like I don't have eyebrows because of the lighting. The first email is going to go out tonight. And then after that, I'm going to schedule the rest of the emails to go out ahead of when the live videos are occurring, so that you'll get a reminder in your email to log into the group on Facebook right here where you are watching this first video. And hopefully we can get more people live. So if you are here live, just, I know we have a lot of new people in this group who joined just for this. So, well, you don't have to tell me your name because it's going to show when you comment, but tell me where you're joining from. How about that? Just leave a comment with where you are tuning in from. I have my little light to make the lighting a little better. That's what you see me holding. Okay, the journal is opening. I'm going to get started. So first of all, since there are some new people here, I want to introduce myself and tell you a little about me, and then also just about this challenge and the purpose and how it's all going to work. So I'm Elizabeth, and I am a coach. I'm a virtual wellness coach, and this group that you're in right now, you'll see if you stay in the group, its name will change at the end of this challenge. It's going to change back to Living Vibrantly Wellness Warriors. So Living Vibrantly is my business, and it's mostly all about helping people, mostly women, fall in love with their bodies, which even, you know, sometimes when I say that, it almost sounds like a negative thing, like being conceited. And we're going to dive into that a little bit this week about why we have to get over that and have to get over thinking that it means you're arrogant if you love yourself. It doesn't mean you're arrogant. Yeah, I'll go into that in much more depth. But for now, just know that that's like a non-issue. Don't worry that your head's going to get too big. But so anyway, that's what my business is about. Helping people really heal their relationship with food, stop kind of the war with food and their bodies. And then I also specialize in working with people who maybe have a chronic condition or an injury and maybe can't do all of like a very intense workout. And if you see my videos, you know I do pretty intense workouts, but I also have had some significant challenges in my life and have worked with a lot of clients who have that too. I know my light just turned off, who have different like chronic conditions and physical limitations. And so one of my favorite things is to help people see that even if they can't keep up with everything that I'm doing, there's still something that you can do. And okay, this must be low on battery. We're going to go with the ugly overhead lights. So that's another one of my niches. And then finally, I personally have been experiencing infertility for the last several years, and it really does a number on you mentally and emotionally. And so that's something else that I specialize in, like workouts and nutrition have been two things that have helped me stay sane through this experience. And so one of my great joys is really introducing other people to that and how much of a help it can be through a really rough experience with, infertility, IVF, the process of surrogacy or adoption. All of those things have just a lot of uncertainty and emotional ups and downs. So that's kind of what I specialize in. But the theme of this month's free challenge is love what you see in the mirror, as you know. And this is really the foundation of my business. This is why I started my business. This is like everything to me, because at a certain point, I realized how far I had come in my own life. I am someone who used to look in the mirror, and I used to, I didn't realize I was doing this at the time, but I would make a point of criticizing myself and criticizing everything I saw and zeroing in on every little flaw. And there are certain like quirks that your friends or family might have that you think are adorable, but maybe they hate them. Okay. Like, my teeth is one, that they're not straight, things like that. Like, I don't know, maybe you think my teeth are ugly, but like, you know what I mean? Where maybe like, I think about my nieces and they have, some of them have like crooked teeth or like a gap, and I think it's really cute. But so certain, like, what I'm trying to say is your flaws or the things that make you unique are charming. We're not all meant to look like a perfect Barbie doll. Those are the things that give you character if you can rock them with confidence. But the problem is most of us see those things that make us different as flaws, something to be corrected, something we wish we could fix. And like I said, every time when I would look in the mirror, I would just start going down a laundry list of flaws. And eventually I did notice this, and I worked to turn it around. And so that's what I want to share with you guys this week. And that's something I'm really passionate about helping people with in my coaching, because I feel so much greater peace of mind, sense of well-being, like content in my life and with myself, now that I'm not in that habit anymore. So that's one thing that I'll be asking you to do throughout the week, is really notice your inner monologue. When you look in the mirror, like, it was very obvious to me once I started looking for it. I used to like turn around and be like, oh my gosh, my butt looks so big. And like, oh, I wish my boobs were a different shape. And you know what I mean? Like, there were so many things, or, like my eyebrows are too thick, or I wish my hair had more body. Like, there are a million things you can zero in on, right? So what I started to notice is when I would change one thing physically, this criticism would transfer onto something else. Like, I'd be like, oh, I'm so fat. And then I'd, start running and I'd lose 10 pounds. And then it was on to criticizing something else. Like, oh, well, now my hips are smaller, but my waist is still too big. Like, the criticism didn't go away. It just transferred. And so if you take one thing away from this week, I'm already giving you like I'm going to say the money shot. That's like the shot in the film that takes up most of the budget. I always think it sounds dirty though, but that's actually what it means. I learned that on a podcast. Anyways, I'm giving that to you on the first day, which is, okay, so you might think if you're looking in the mirror and you are criticizing, like, I don't know, broad shoulders or narrow shoulders or whatever it is you're criticizing, or like, let's say, you hate your nose, okay? And then you go get a nose job. Well, surprise, even if your nose is different, that hatred is going to transfer onto something else until you solve the root of the problem, which is really accepting and becoming content with yourself as you are, and realizing that it has nothing to do with those actual external circumstances or conditions. A state of being content with yourself comes from inside. And we can sit here and say, yeah, it's easier to accept yourself if you're conventionally beautiful. I don't know if that's true or not. I think there's plenty of people who fit a conventional definition of beauty who are not satisfied with how they look. And there's plenty of people who, have you ever met someone, give me some hearts if you've met someone who if you look at her and you're like, she's really unique looking, interesting looking. I don't know if I'd call her beautiful, but there's something about her confidence that makes her like super attractive. Have you ever felt that way? I have a feeling you know what I mean. And so that's really an example like of how it comes from the inside, and it comes from your attitude more than like what you actually look like, whether you're wearing makeup, any of those things, any of those external factors. Like that's not where that self-confidence comes from. So I kind of got ahead of myself in making that point, but I want to go back real quick and kind of explain like the point of this challenge and how it's all going to work. So it is a free challenge. I am going to be telling you, so it's a 5-day challenge. There's going to be a video like this every day. And people ask me how long the videos are. Hey Gretchen, hey Rachel, thanks for getting on. So I don't know exactly how long the videos are going to be, and I don't really plan ahead of time. I just plan out what I want to say and however long it takes. But I know I can be a little long-winded. Hopefully you can kind of treat it like a podcast and go back and, you know, listen while you're driving. Like this is how I get a lot of my trainings for my business, through live videos like this. So I go and I listen while I'm driving, doing dishes, folding laundry. I have like a Bluetooth player so I can even listen while I'm in the shower, things like that. I use, every part of my day, really, like all the little pockets of downtime to fill my brain with things I want to learn. So I'm really hoping to provide value for you and insights that you would want to use these videos that way and listen whenever you have time. But that's just an idea. I don't know exactly how long each video will be. As part of the 5 days, I am going to be telling you about a program that I offer that is not free, and that's kind of where this challenge is leading. And I never want it to feel like a bait and switch, because I absolutely do intend to show up and provide value and provide some thought-provoking content for you. I absolutely want you to get something out of this challenge, and I aim to deliver on what I promised, that you get something really valuable out of this, even if you don't go on to purchase a program. But just know that I'll be telling you all of the details, I think on Wednesday. But part of the purpose of this challenge is for us to get to know each other, and for you to kind of see what I'm all about and how I operate as a coach, and to help you evaluate if you would benefit from us working together more closely, with more of a like one-on-one level of support. Like obviously with these videos, you can ask me a question in the comments, but like one-on-one coaching is reserved for my paying clients. So it's not as intense of a level of support as you would get if you're working with me as a paying client. So that's kind of the distinction. And I always like to put that up front, because, I am a business owner. I do get paid for this, and I want to tell you kind of why I'm offering something for free. Like there is something in it for me, but the point of this whole challenge is to bring some new members into our community, as well as getting the existing members engaged and giving you all hopefully something inspirational. And I do this usually every other month. So, and there's a different topic every time. So if you stay in the community, that's where I was going with that. So Living Vibrantly Wellness Warriors, and then you'll see the name change when it's time for another free challenge. All right, so then again, to officially enroll, look for the link after the video's over. Make sure you join the email list. That's how you get the PDF journal as well, with the questions for the 5 days. Also, after this video is done, you're going to find a photo in the Facebook group. It's the same photo all 5 days. But we'll say like day 1 thread, day 2 thread. So that's going to have some discussion questions. And depending on the question, if they're like super personal, you don't have to share your answers, but you could share kind of how the experience was for you of journaling about those questions. But that's how you enter for the prizes. Yes, there are prizes. So pretty much if anybody participates on the discussion threads, I send you a prize in the mail. And I do that because you're watching the videos, you're taking time out of your day, and I appreciate that. I wanted to send you a little something that's going to help with self-care. just a little fun, like, I don't know if you ever used to get care packages in the mail, like if you went to sleepaway camp or, you know, away at college, or just gifts from, you know, friends from their travels, things like that. But it's just fun to get mail, and we don't get as much today when, you know, most mail is not really mail, it's email, right? And Facebook messages. So I just love that tradition of sending you something tangible. So that's what you'll get if you're commenting on the discussion threads. Again, to be eligible for that, you do also have to be on the email list for the challenge and officially registered. The videos are going to come down. So this is in the pinned post in the group, but I just wanted to emphasize it here as well. So you can watch the replay. Maybe you're watching the replay right now. You'll have, it's like a week from Sunday. So what is that? The 12th of August is your last day to watch the videos. And I simply do that because if I leave them up forever, then it just seems like you can do it anytime. So I want to put a time limit on that. And then it also becomes evergreen content for my VIP preferred customers, which that's a whole other thing I'm not going to go into, but it's even a higher level of support still. So if you're like absolutely loving what you are seeing and you're like, yeah, you know, you're the coach for me and I want to work together like over, you know, a year or more, if that's how you're feeling, then ask me about preferred customers and we'll get you in there right away, because that's how you get a discount and get the best level of accountability from working with me. Okay. So that's kind of just the overview of the week and the challenge in this group for everyone who's new. So let's talk about movement and exercise and loving what you see in the mirror. And actually for today's journaling prompt, which no one has a journal yet, you'll get it in your email if you're on the email list. But the questions for today, it's about health and self-care habits. What habits do you have in place for health and self-care? So if you're watching the video, just kind of answer that in your head and you can journal about it later. But I want you to notice your thoughts as you go about these habits. So I initially was asking the question about exercise, and I wanted to broaden it because I know not everybody has an exercise habit right now. But you can think about if you have exercised in the past, if you exercise now, or whatever you're doing for self-care. So even if it's just like washing your face and brushing your teeth, what thoughts are going through your head while you're doing those things? Or if you exercise, notice while you're exercising. Hey, Melissa, good to see you. All right, so I'll tell you why I'm asking this. So this was one of the major realizations. Like I told you before, when I used to look in the mirror and be so self-critical, eventually I realized I had to stop that. And another time that I noticed it was I used to run. I hate running now. I think it's boring. I mean, truth be told, it doesn't work for my feet and my hips. So that's the main reason I don't do it anymore. But I also didn't enjoy it that much. So isn't that funny, right? Every single day I did a type of exercise that I didn't enjoy. But I wonder how many people can relate to that. So I want you to notice, because what I noticed as I was running down the path was with the rhythm of my feet was like, you're so fat. You need to lose weight. You ate too much yesterday. Keep on running. And that's what was going through my head. Now, I did this for years before I ever noticed that. And so that's why I'm asking you to observe. And I would love if you would share with me what you notice. But if it feels too personal and too private, I know some of us, we've only just met, write it down in your journal. You don't necessarily have to share it. You can send me a private message too. A lot of people usually do that instead of putting it in the group. But if you're feeling brave, I'm sure the group would appreciate just a discussion going on the thread. I think that's always fun when you guys get to hear from each other. So exercise for me at that point was punishment. It was punishment. And here's the thing about that. There is something inside all of us that wants to be happy and wants to be content and wants to be at peace. And I truly believe that we just all have that, and it's like fighting for life. And sometimes we're just trying to squash it and stuff it down, and it keeps on fighting. So that's why over time, I grew to hate running more and more, because I was in this really negative place whenever I was running. Now, kind of my accident, I started going to yoga. Actually, it was because I kept having like foot pain and hip pain, like I said before, and I had heard that yoga could be good for runners as like to balance running. So that's why I started going to yoga, because I was like feeling old in my early 20s. Well, a funny thing happened in yoga. You start to notice your thoughts, and you start to really tune in to your body and like small sensations in your body, and to notice those connections between the physical and the mental and the emotional. And it was almost like I split into like two people, right? Like the observer and the person who's having the experience. So the observer is like the parent, right? All of a sudden we're getting really deep, but this is kind of an essential concept in this healing that I'm trying to help you work on. So there's like the parent and the child, right? So the parent is the one who's like, hey, are you okay? Like, I care how you're feeling. And then, you know, the child is the one that might be having a temper tantrum, or, you know, who's content or not content, but having those kind of moment to moment emotional reactions. You know, the parent is then the observer. So going to yoga class awakened that parent, side of me that I had never really had that level of, like sensitivity or observation before. And then I think, you know, the inner child was like, what? Like, someone actually cares if I feel good, if I'm happy or not? And that was a completely new feeling too. Now you can relate this to actual parent-child relationships and how you grew up, right? Like when you were a kid, did someone listen to your needs, or were your needs ignored? Maybe that makes a difference as to like how good you are at parenting yourself right now. Just something to consider. It was a big contributing factor for me. It may or may not be for you. But so through yoga, I started to observe and like started to believe that it actually mattered if I was feeling good or not, and if I was enjoying, like, and that exercise doesn't have to be like painful or unpleasant. So I stopped running. And this was around the time I was working on, I was like really committed to overcoming binge eating also, and just really starting to observe, again, thanks to yoga, starting to observe these unhealthy attitudes and like thought processes. And just kind of wanted to stop anything that was associated with those. So like I said, running was this constant swirl of negative thoughts. So I stopped doing it. I only did yoga for like, I don't know, 3 years. That was all the exercise that I did. And now you see, like, I exercise, I do like an intense workout every day. So I don't only do yoga anymore, but that was what I did for a certain period of time, because I loved how yoga grounded me in the way that I'm talking about and allowed me to observe these things. Okay, so my next journal question for you for today is, what helps you feel grounded in your body? And I think you can understand why I'm asking that. Hey, Rachel. So I have some suggestions in the journal if you're not really sure, but movement, exercise is one of them. Yoga, no surprise there. Meditation, deep breathing, like things you can do anywhere. It doesn't have to be a 30-minute exercise session. Leave me a comment on what makes you feel grounded. Another suggestion I have in the journal is listening to music you love without doing anything else at the same time. That's something that always makes me feel like physically alive and vibrant. I love that word. That's why it's in the name of my business. But it just makes me feel connected to my physical self and like joyful in my body. So think of what that is for you, whether it's exercise or like a certain kind of exercise. For a lot of people, it might be doing something outside or maybe dancing. But leave me a comment with what activity that is for you that helps you feel grounded. So then your assignment for today, or you're getting the journal kind of late, so maybe tomorrow, is practice that activity for a little while and note down in the journal how you feel. How did you feel before and how did you feel after? How did the activity transform you? And that's really important to observe, because then you can become more intentional about how you're using these activities that you've identified as being grounding. Okay, so I went from exercise as punishment to exercising for the joy of it. Now, there was kind of a drastic shift in between where I stopped and I only did yoga. So that's one way that you could approach it. So say you notice that you are having a lot of negative thoughts during your self-care habits. Now, say it's, you're brushing your teeth and you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, my teeth are so yellow. I hate my teeth. Okay, I'm not telling you to stop brushing your teeth. But I do want you to replace the negative thoughts that you observe. And this is in one of the journal prompts. It's not day one, but this is a really important part of it. Just in general, all week long. And of course, I hope you will take what you learned this week and implement it, apply it over a period of time, not just 5 days. But whenever you notice these negative thoughts and negative messages, turn them around, reverse them. And even if it feels false, the more you say the words, you will start to believe them. So say, I love my teeth. They're what makes me unique and gives my face character. Okay? Something like that. Even if it feels completely insincere, I promise you, if you say it every day, you're going to start to believe it. Now, maybe you don't want to start to believe it. That's a whole other issue. And, it's not something that's easily undone. But I can tell you that being extremely harsh and disciplined on yourself has never made anyone happy. I can say that with confidence because I've been there. And I also had that fear that if I let go of the discipline, who am I going to be without that? Am I just going to go I have kind of an obsessive personality, so I always thought of discipline as a way of keeping myself on the straight and narrow. I have to exercise every day, otherwise who knows what's going to happen to me. And in a certain sense, there's a reason that I now exercise every day. I'm prone to depression and I just do better when I'm active. But it also was helpful for me to see that I could learn to trust myself and stop for a while and then come back to it. So it's a path that you have to navigate for yourself. But so some ideas, if you find that you have a really negative attitude with exercise specifically and noticing a lot of negative thoughts, it may not be a bad idea to switch activities and try something different. So if you always go to the gym, maybe try running outside, even though I just said, running for me was punishment, but that may not be the case for you. If you always run, try a fun class at the gym, dancing, try yoga, try Tai Chi. But the thing is, when we have a habit, like a physical habit, we have mental habits that go along with them. So we keep doing the same physical habit, it's harder to change the mental habit. When you start a new physical habit, it's like a blank slate, right? You get, it's easier to kind of choose your thoughts as you're going in instead of being stuck in this cycle. So that's why I recommend changing the activity if you can. Obviously, if it's a self-care activity, like brushing your teeth, you only have so many options. You can't really, there's not a lot of ways to change that up, or, taking a shower, washing your face. But, whatever you can do to change up your routine to help shake up the thoughts, and get creative with this. And again, I'd love to hear what you come up with for how you're going to change this. Yeah, so the journal questions are around observing what makes you grounded, then trying a different activity is tip number 2. And just the third tip I had for you, it kind of goes hand in hand with number 2. but it's to work with a mantra. And I'll get more into the whole issue of arrogant, what's the other word? I don't know. I'm blanking out on it right now, but, you know, if your head getting big, versus how self-love is not that and is actually kind of the opposite of that. We'll get into that another day. But so when there was a time, you know, I've been running a few times since like I left and came back, and I just didn't pick it up again because I didn't like what it did to my body. But running is like a rhythmic activity that actually, it lends itself really well to having a mantra. So like, I am beautiful, I am strong, I'm a warrior, I can do all things. I mean, there are, I can do hard things. There are so many different options. Find one that feels really good to you, that makes you feel like pumped up and confident and empowered. And, or even like, I'm benevolent, I'm kind. Like there are different like ways to approach it, but a really positive quality. And just use those words in the rhythm with your feet, or, you know, with your toothbrush. I keep coming back to the toothbrushing example. These videos, there's always like one example that you end up harping on. Totally didn't intend to go there, but that's kind of just the one I randomly picked. Anyways, any activity that has kind of that rhythmic component, like washing dishes, it could be too. That's not really a self-care activity, but it's a time to practice a mantra. And then just go with it. And the more that you say it, the more it infiltrates your brain. So a mantra is a way to replace those negative thoughts. And because it just repeats, like there's no space for the negative thoughts to come in. So that can be a really effective way to work when you're just getting started and when it seems like there are so many negative thoughts, you'll never drown them all out. Okay, that's what I have for you today. I'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Don't forget to participate in the discussion thread, which is separate from this. It's going to be a photo. It's going to say day 1 thread. And I will see you tomorrow.